Jonathan Bird, one of the world's top underwater nature cinematographers. Traveling the world on assignment for all the major networks, he is an Emmy Award-winning authority on the underwater world. In freshwater or salt, reefs, wrecks, or caves, Jonathan documents the world beneath the waves. Welcome to the Blue World.
The Blue World team has traveled to the tropical island of Roatan to explore some of the healthiest reefs in the Caribbean. Roatan is an island located 40 miles off the coast of mainland Honduras in Central America. It's a popular vacation destination for North Americans, not only because of nice beaches and proximity to the U.S., but also because of the healthy marine environment. Zach, Diver Ed, and I start our day meeting Lindy Warren of Infinity Divers. Lindy is a very famous Roatan dive master, and we're lucky to have him to show us around. Well, we're here in beautiful Roatan, Honduras. It's a beautiful day, and we're gonna do some nice tropical diving, baby. This is my favorite kind of diving, nice warm water. Check this out. Roatan is known for super healthy coral reefs and a robust population of sea turtles. And while we have seen sea turtles many times, we're hoping to capture some really interesting behaviors. We tie up at a popular site known for really great coral and deep channels that bring clear water into the shallows. I love the sand on the rig, that's great. Adds the flavor. I'm gonna have a super easy and fun dive because I'm testing out my new IMAX camera. Actually, it's a GoPro Hero 10 that shoots in 5K. Even though Lindy has done more than 10,000 dives, he never gets bored of showing people these beautiful sights. He leads us down through a channel in the reef. It dumps us out on the wall at 110 feet. Here, the reef drops precipitously into the blue. The light down here is low, and the GoPro image quality is kinda noisy. We follow Lindy on a search for a sea turtle. Along the way, I can't help but notice all of the interesting sponges. I'm a sucker for a pretty sponge. Some of these barrel sponges grow quite large. And the beauty of a GoPro is getting an interesting perspective. Eventually, we find our first sea turtle. It's a small female hawksbill searching for lunch. She has some red algae on her shell. She could really use a few surgeonfish. I'm gonna call her Fuzzbutt. Even though sea turtles live their whole lives in the ocean, they're still reptiles and need to breathe air at the surface. So, every 5 to 10 minutes, a sea turtle must go up for a few breaths. Catch you later, Fuzzbutt. In the meantime, we have a look around. We find a few more lionfish. They might not belong here, but they are still one of the most beautiful fish on the reef. But don't touch, because those spines are extremely venomous. Speaking of venomous, the scorpionfish is easy to miss with that awesome camouflage, and this fish packs venomous dorsal spines too.
I spy an indigo hamlet. They're a little more common here than in the rest of the Caribbean, but it's still a rare sight. Lindy is filming something with his GoPro, and another turtle comes down to investigate. Turtles can be quite curious, and they know that divers will not hurt them. This lady is hungry, and she's on a mission to find a snack. Finally, she finds her favorite food, which is a particularly tough sponge. Fish can't eat these sponges because they simply can't bite into them. And she's having a hard time too. Not many animals find sponges particularly good to eat. But sea turtles and a few species of fish can digest the tough fibers. Finally, she finds the perfect sponge and begins ripping it open. Almost immediately, a queen angelfish joins the party to mooch a few scraps. The angelfish could never eat this sponge without the turtle's help. Gets out fast. Soon, a gray angelfish shows up at the table. And then another. It's a full-on buffet. This sea turtle has a scar on her left side, maybe from a shark bite when she was younger. So I'm calling her shark bait. She doesn't mind if I get in close to watch. All this eating is making me hungry. The food at this restaurant is pretty good, but she needs to breathe. While shark bait goes for a breath, two more hawksbills show up. Oh wait, it's Fuzzbutt! Followed closely behind by another female hawksbill. I don't know where all the males are. Maybe they slept in. Fuzzbutt and the other hawksbill are circling around, almost as if they're trying to find something. minutes later, Fuzzbutt has somehow discovered Sharkbait's half-eaten sponge and picks up where she left off, biting off large chunks. The angelfish don't seem particularly picky about who they steal their scraps from. But soon, Sharkbait is back from her trip to the surface to breathe, and she's not happy to find Fuzzbutt eating her sponge. It comes to a head, and an argument breaks out. It looks violent, but they're not really hurting each other. Eventually, Fuzzbutt swims away, leaving Sharkbait to continue feeding on her sponge. I'm really excited to witness this interesting behavior. Who knew that fish could take advantage of a sea turtle's strong jaws? We might have scuba gear allowing us to breathe underwater, but like the sea turtles, we must eventually surface as well. And all that feeding action is making me hungry, so it's time to head back to the dock for lunch. The beautiful reefs of Roatan certainly did not disappoint. From the coral swim-throughs to the abundance of fish, and of course the amazing sea turtles, Roatan is a lovely place to explore the blue world.
Don't go away. Jonathan and Todd are going to squeeze into the smallest cave they've ever attempted.
It's a beautiful day on Merritt's Mill Pond. Located in Marianna, Florida, just west of Tallahassee, this small man-made lake contains entrances to 7 different caves. Today, cameraman Todd, Zach of all trades, and I are looking for one of the smallest caves on the pond. We rented a pontoon boat to explore as many of the caves as we can manage in our short visit. We head north from our rental house in search of Shangri-La Cave. It's easy to find because of the crystal clear water surrounding the entrance. We pull our boat gently into the shallow water near shore. There's a small metal post to tie off the boat. But a lasso, a little more. That one's on. Next to us, clear water flows strongly from this spring. It's the kind of inviting water that cave divers crave. We got some pointers from local instructor Mehdi Zanetti, so we know this is going to be a very tight cave, which sounds fun. With this in mind, we suit up for some adventure. We have a quick peek inside so we can figure out our plan. We have a short chat and decide to bring only GoPro cameras because our regular cameras are too big for this cave.
The main line, but I couldn't see where the main line really began.
At last, we begin the dive with Todd leading the way. If you think the entrance looks small, you haven't seen anything yet.
We fight our way in against the flow and discover it's a pretty spacious cavern zone.
We have only a single video light to keep the GoPro rig small. follow Todd into the cave while he ties off our reel. Heading further into the cave, we quickly arrive at a tiny restriction going down into the floor. And that's the only way to proceed, so Todd pushes on down. It's a tighter squeeze than it looks.
Once I get down in there, I can see the line, but there doesn't appear to be an easy way to follow it. The ceiling and floor are so close together, I'm wondering if I'll even fit.
From behind Todd, I can see the problem. Man, this is one tiny cave. Todd picks the biggest opening and starts heading that way. There's literally just enough room to squirm through. Up ahead, Todd follows the main line. We expected the cave to open up once we got through the first restriction, and it has, but not very much. I'm hanging back far enough that if we need to turn around, we won't be kicking each other too much. Thankfully, the floor of the cave is not super silty, and the silt we do manage to kick up is being washed away quickly in the flow of water. Todd continues his slow progression upstream into the cave. I have it a little easier because I'm following, but I have worse visibility being downstream.
Someone has laid line in here, so we know people can fit. Many had said that in order to go further, you'd have to remove both tanks. And it looks like we've reached that point.
Because I'm behind, I do a very clumsy turnaround and begin leading the way out.
I'm turning around as well, but there isn't much space.
Soon we're both turned around and heading out. At last, we claw our way back to the hole in the floor and emerge back into the cavern. As much as we enjoyed that little adventure, I think we're both glad to be back into a space large enough to swim. In 5 minutes, all the silt we kicked up will be totally gone.
It's time to head back to the light. Since we never exceeded 25 feet, we don't even have to do a safety stop.
Oh, man.
That restriction at the end where I turned, I don't think I could fit through without taking a tank off. So I went as far as I could.
It looked bigger inside than it was.
And even as I went further, as far as I could see into that next area, it was the same low ceiling and mud. But, I tried that second time, trying to get through, and it's just, like, I have to take a tank off. It's just not quite wide enough.
Yeah.
Or I gotta stop eating the pizza.
Yeah, one or the other.
Shangri-La is one of the smallest caves in Merritt's Mill Pond. It's not deep, and it doesn't go very far. But it's an incredible dive for adventurous side-mount cave divers. Meanwhile, we have many other caves to explore in this extraordinary pond and the Blue World.
Meet Jonathan Bird, one of the world's top underwater nature cinematographers. Traveling the world on assignment for all the major networks, he is an Emmy Award-winning authority on the underwater world. In freshwater or salt, reefs, wrecks, or caves, Jonathan documents the world beneath the waves. Welcome to the Blue World.
For many divers, cave diving is a passion. It might seem crazy to want to explore a submerged underground world where running out of air means almost certain death, but exploring underwater caves is incredibly exciting, and it has opened our eyes to the way that aquifers function. Life on Earth depends on water. While most of the planet's water exists in the oceans, evaporation separates some water from the salt. When it rains, most of that precious fresh water seeps into the ground. Some is soaked up by the roots of plants, but some enters the aquifer, a layer of semi-permeable rock or gravel that holds the water like a sponge. In places where the topography goes downhill, the water in the aquifer often flows slowly downhill with it. In Florida, the rock beneath the soil is limestone, a soft rock made by coral reef animals millions of years ago when it was a seafloor. Rain falling through the sky picks up carbon dioxide, which creates a very mild acid called carbonic acid. Over thousands of years, this mild acid eats away at soft limestone, eventually hollowing out caves. This turned the aquifer in Florida into underground rivers. Sometimes the river comes close to the surface of the ground and the ceiling gets thinner until it falls in. In Mexico, they call it a cenote, but in Florida, it's called a sinkhole. This gives divers a way into the caves. Sometimes the underground river finds a place to spring out. Florida is full of springs where this crystal clear water emerges from the aquifer into daylight. The Blue World team is heading to one such place today.
A lot of people don't realize how important the cave systems are down here. They contain the fresh water that is the drinking water for everybody in Florida. They're the planet's plumbing, and people don't realize how extensive they are, how far they go. They go under the forest, they go under parking lots, they go under your house. They're very extensive systems. So today we want to demonstrate that. We have brought with us a transmitter to take underwater. Todd and I are going to take this transmitter. We're going to swim through the cave system. And the two Zacks are going to be up above following us with the receiver, and they're going to see just how far we go.
We've come to West Skiles Peacock Springs State Park in Florida, home to one of the most popular cave dives in the world. The Peacock Springs system spans more than 6 miles of surveyed underwater passages. Todd and I are ready for a long day of exploration. And cave diving always starts out with lugging the gear.
Man, these are heavy.
Somebody needs to lay off the pizza. I'm pretty sure he's going to get an Academy Award someday.
All right, good to go.
Now the fun can begin.
Water's looking good. Rock solid.
The transmitter is sealed up inside a homemade PVC housing.
Todd, did you turn on the transmitter?
Turned it on. Got it clipped out right here on my side.
All right, cool.
Are we ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
We sink down into the cavern zone. I'm filming and Todd is responsible for the transmitter and handling our reels.
Are you getting a signal?
Yeah, it looks like I got it.
All right.
All right, let's see where it goes.
See where they go.
Oh, I lost it.
Lost them?
Oh, there it is, there it is.
As we head away from the light of the entrance, we pass the stop sign, which warns people without cave training of the danger. 30 feet above us, the Zacks are following our journey with the receiver.
Think they have this much underbrush down there?
Probably not. It's probably a smooth trip for them.
Every so often, Todd stops to hold the transmitter close to the rock for a good signal. We have no idea if the Zacks are with us or not, so we try to make it easy for them.
Signal's really strong right here.
They've got to be real close to the surface.
Yeah.
Then we push on, deeper into the cave.
It's getting weaker.
Nope.
Gotta keep going. Ooh, the signal's getting really strong now. You must be pretty close to
They must be really close.
Yeah.
We reach a section of the cave that angles down much deeper. We know this will make our signal weaker, so we can only hope that the Zacks stay on the same heading until they pick us up again.
It's getting weak. It's getting weaker. It looks like they're going this way.
Down here, the bottom is silty, so we have to be cautious. I can only wonder where the Zacks are now and what's above us.
Still got them.
Where are they?
I don't know.
Todd tries the ceiling trick again, hoping it will work through 60 feet of rock. I'm keeping an eye on the floor of the cave for one of my favorite cave critters. And then I find one, a cave crayfish, completely without pigment or eyesight. As we continue, the Zacks are crossing a tree farm. And the cave has gone weirdly circular. Soon the cave angles shallower, and we have hope that the transmitter is getting through. It turns out we're right underneath the local supermarket. We can't talk, but fortunately Todd and I are good at diver sign language.
Which one are they in?
I'm noticing that in this section the water's a little murky. It turns out we're right under a cow pasture, and this is no coincidence.
That way.
Eventually, we turn and head back to the cave entrance.
Wow, what a dive.
That was great. I think we got pretty far.
Yeah, we went really far. I can't wait to see what those guys came up with up here.
Our journey has taken us all over town, beneath roads, beneath a parking lot, and most of all, beneath farmland. While farming is obviously extremely important to our food supply, there can be serious side effects from farming or ranching above the aquifer. A cow, for example, generates 10 times the waste of a human. So, 100 cows in a field generates as much as 1,000 people. And all that waste just sitting in a field gets washed into the ground when it rains. Pesticides and fertilizer on crops do the same thing. All this contamination ends up seeping down into the aquifer. And guess what else is in the aquifer? Everyone's drinking water supply, we're contaminating our own wells. And when the water comes out of the spring into sunlight, the nutrients in the water, like nitrates and phosphates from manure and fertilizer, fuels the growth of algae and bacteria, which further contaminates the water and sometimes even chokes off the oxygen, which kills the fish. Legendary cave explorer and filmmaker Wes Skiles was one of the first people to sound the alarm. He used his extensive knowledge of the aquifer, gained by years of diving into these caves, to help government agencies understand what was happening and pass legislation to reduce pollution in the aquifer, so we all could have safe drinking water. So yes, cave divers can be pretty useful sometimes. Scuba divers are the most passionate and vocal defenders of the ocean because we're the ones down there seeing what's going on. We can't help but want to protect the places we love. Cave divers are a rare breed, but they're the only people who actually see what is in these caves and have come to appreciate the importance of the aquifer and the life that depends on it. And so cave divers have become powerful advocates for the health of these incredible environments, the underground heart of the blue world.
Don't go away. Coming up, Jonathan jumps in the ocean with a bunch of bull sharks.
I love sharks, and I've been lucky enough to dive with sharks all over the world. I've filmed great white sharks in Mexico, blue sharks in New England, sand tiger sharks on the wrecks of North Carolina, and tiger sharks in the Bahamas. I even learned how to handle tiger sharks up close. I've filmed sharks during the day and at night. I've filmed them on the reef and in the open ocean. I've even filmed them in caves. It may seem like there's nothing I haven't done when it comes to sharks, but the ocean's a big place and new adventures always await. You know I love shark diving, but I've never done it here in Florida. Unfortunately, they have a law that you can't feed sharks here in Florida within 3 miles of shore. So they've developed an interesting way of doing shark dives way out at sea. Today, Zach of All Trades and I have come to beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida. Arg, we be diving with Pirates Paradise. I like the sound of that. I mean, we're diving with Pirates Paradise. I like the sound of that. I meet with Captain Rob to get an idea what to expect. Arg, the dread Captain Robert the Beard.
Exactly.
Then Zach and I fill out some paperwork and meet our dive master, Mike Brady. That's a really lame pirate name.
All right, here we go.
Then we load our gear onto the boat for an adventure. Can't forget the camera.
Good morning, I'm Rob. I'm going to be the captain today. Some of the basic safety rules. Pretty good.
We have plenty of time to assemble our gear while we travel to the dive site. Because we have to go 3 miles offshore to legally feed sharks in Florida, that means it will take half an hour to reach our destination. I'm starting a cool new look for divers, sunglasses underwater. Mike says we can expect some bull sharks, a species not commonly seen on shark dives. I sure hope they show up. This far offshore, the bottom is more than 100 feet down, which is too deep for anything but a short visit. So, the trick is to bring the sharks up shallower to us. Mike takes the bait in a milk crate way down to the bottom to get the sharks' attention. Once they're interested, he swims the bait back up to us, waiting at about 50 feet.
Arg, that be 15 meters for ye metric people.
The first sharks to join us are the lemon sharks. Lemon sharks tend to be homebodies. They find a section of reef to call home and generally don't stray too far from that area. They will come up above the reef because of the chum. When you interact with sharks on the bottom, they can come up from behind or above, but they can't sneak in from below. Here in open water, you have to keep your eyes constantly moving to keep track of sharks in all directions. Lemon sharks have very pointy teeth that look aggressive. The reality is that these teeth are designed for a purpose. Lemon sharks feed mostly on fish. These needle-like teeth help the shark grab and hold small, slippery fish to be swallowed whole. What this means to us as divers is that these sharks would never consider us food. They would not attack anything as large as a person. They're simply not designed to eat food that big. Their teeth just don't cut well, so they can't take bites out of larger prey. These sharks are just looking for a snack, something small they can eat in one bite. Zach of all trades is on his first shark dive, and he looks pretty comfortable to me.
I have to admit, I was a little nervous to be diving with sharks for the first time, but once I got down there and I was surrounded by sharks, I realized just how calm and majestic these animals are, and I was no longer afraid.
Lemon sharks are considered a social species. They often hang out in small groups, enjoying the company of other lemon sharks. So, when we chum for lemon sharks, more often than not, we get a whole bunch of them, not just one, which of course makes for great fun. The lemon sharks are cool, but we're really hoping to see bull sharks, and so far, they haven't shown up. Here off the east coast of Florida, we're diving in the Gulf Stream, a strong northward current. We don't feel the current at all floating in mid-water because we're drifting with it. But as time goes by, we drift northward with the reef going by down below us. Soon we've drifted far enough from the lemon shark's reef that they begin to leave us to swim south against the current back home. And their departure is accelerated by the arrival of another species. Bull sharks at last. Bull sharks look a lot like plain old reef sharks. It takes a careful look to tell them apart. Bull sharks have a chunkier appearance and a shorter snout. For their length, they're heavier than similar shark species. Bull sharks are known for an aggressive disposition, especially in the murky shallows where they normally hunt. However, here in open water, the sharks have learned that divers bring snacks. They're definitely not on the menu. It turns out that bull sharks are actually quite curious. They spend plenty of time swimming around between us, checking us out. And they seem to like my lights, so I get lots of great shots when they come in for a look. The action is so exciting that people tend to breathe rapidly and go through their air supply fairly quickly. So, before we know it, it's time to start making our way back to the surface. As long as we still have some chum, the sharks follow. After our safety stop, Captain Rob brings the boat over to pick us up.
Woo! Man, that was some sharktacular action, baby! Woo!
I've been on literally hundreds of shark dives all over the world, and not once have I ever been hurt by a shark. Sharks are clearly curious, and probably a lot smarter than most people would expect. Apex predators like sharks play an important role in ocean ecosystems, and their protection helps preserve the health of the oceans. It is my hope that our adventures filming these majestic animals in the wild will help people understand that sharks are not monsters on the prowl, but beautiful and crucial guardians of the blue world.
Today on Blue World, Jonathan and the family head to Grand Cayman for a family dive vacation. But first, black-tip shark research in Florida. Meet Jonathan Bird, one of the world's top underwater nature cinematographers. Traveling the world on assignment for all the major networks, he is an Emmy Award-winning authority on the underwater world. In freshwater or salt, reefs, wrecks, or caves, Jonathan documents the world beneath the waves. Welcome to the Blue World.
Every winter, large numbers of sharks gather just off the beach on Florida's east coast, making headlines around the world and frightening beachgoers out of the water. What are the sharks up to? This guy wants to find out. Dr. Stephen Kajiura is a shark biologist. A few years ago, he joined us underwater in the Bahamas, demonstrating how shark electrosensory systems work. But his research in Florida doesn't involve scuba gear. It all starts with an airplane. Hey, Dr. Kajiura.
How are you? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, man. Dr. Kajiura has rigged cameras all over his plane, turning it into a flying shark spotting machine. The Cessna 172 we're flying can only hold 4 people, but that's plenty for our early morning shark spotting expedition. It's a short taxi to the runway, and we're off. Then we fly low, around 500 feet, up the coast just offshore, looking for little shark-shaped shadows in the shallows. Wow, say that 5 times fast. Shark-shaped shadows in the shallows. Shark-shaped shadows in the shallows. Shark-shaped Hey, there's some.
Oh, look at all the sharks here. It's outside the reef line. It's good to know.
We spot a huge school of sharks, which is also recorded on the door cam. Dr. Kajiura makes note of the location of the school so he can return later with his drone. Then we hightail it back to the airport. Later in the day, Dr. Kajiura goes to the beach near the shark aggregation and launches his drone. He shoots video from a much lower altitude than he can fly in the plane that he can use to count the sharks. The next day, we follow the team out on a tagging expedition. We get our own boat to follow along and stay out of the way. We cruise out of the marina and down the coast to the general location of the shark sighting. Then the research team deploys a contraption called a drum line, consisting of a baited hook attached to a weight and a buoy. They mark the coordinates of the drum line.
80.04409.
Next, they move the boat and repeat the process, eventually deploying half a dozen drum lines. Then we wait. Down below, the sharks are investigating the yummy bait. We don't have to wait long because soon the team sees one of the buoys moving. They move in and check the line. On the line, a black-tip shark, and he isn't happy. But he has no way of knowing that the team is not going to hurt him. They wait for the shark to get tired and stop fighting. In this way, it's less likely that the shark or the researchers will get injured. First, they take measurements.
124.
124.
Then they prepare a small visual ID tag, only about the size of a piece of spaghetti, which will allow the researchers to learn a lot about this shark if it ever gets caught again. Then they remove the hook and send the shark on his way. After tagging half a dozen sharks, it's time to call it a day, pull all the drum lines, and head for home. But they leave the sharks a snack for their trouble. So, what are the sharks doing in Florida? What has all this research revealed? The tags have shown that the sharks spend their summers up around North Carolina, but they head south for the winter in search of warmer water. And the natural underwater topography of Florida forces them close to shore. So, basically the sharks go to Florida for the same reason everyone else does, to escape winter. There are a lot of ways to study marine life. In the case of the black-tip shark aggregations, airplanes are an unconventional but extremely useful way to gather data. Coupled with drones and boats, Dr. Kajiura has learned a lot about this big shark mystery.
Coming up, dive adventures for the whole family on Grand Cayman.
In the world of scuba diving, there is one legendary place known to all divers, the Cayman Islands. Located just south of Cuba, these 3 islands, a British overseas territory, have become famous for some of the best underwater conditions in the world. Between the great visibility, warm water, healthy reefs, and easy accessibility from the US and Europe, the Cayman Islands are on every diver's bucket list. It's a chilly April morning in Boston, and it's school vacation week. So that means it's time for a family dive adventure to the Cayman Islands.
Hi, welcome to Waiting in Line.
It's a few hours from cold weather to the tropics, and soon we land on Grand Cayman. Jay Earhart from the Cayman Tourism Board meets us at the airport with the VIP treatment. As usual, we rent a van to carry all our gear. And this van has the steering wheel on the right because in the Cayman Islands, they drive on the left. It's a quick drive over to Sunset House on the southwest corner of Grand Cayman Island. Sunset House is one of the most popular hotels for divers in the world. The entire property is built around scuba diving, with a fantastic shore dive right off the dock. There's a restaurant overlooking the ocean, a pool for relaxing and, of course, dive training, but most importantly, the dive shop called Sunset Divers. And yes, you can dive at sunset. We head over to fill out our paperwork while the crew prepares a boat for our first day of diving. Our first dive will be a perfect introduction to the classic Cayman diving experience. Along the way, we have some time to set up our gear. Jasmine Fox grabs the mooring line, while Philip Liu sets up a scale model of the dive site using a towel and some paper cups. The dive briefing is easy to understand with a 3D model. Finally, time to get wet. With all the diving we've been doing recently, the kids are really comfortable in the water. They take the lead as we follow Phil towards some of the cool formations. This site is known for cavern-like swim-throughs in the reef, giving divers a little taste of the cave diving experience, but in a totally safe way. And the reefs are covered in colorful sponges and coral. We pop up through a chimney and head towards the drop-off. Here, the water plunges down thousands of feet. Diving on the edge of the abyss like this is known as wall diving, and this is the kids' first wall diving experience. Of course, we stay at the top where most life is found, and soon discover a sea turtle searching for breakfast. Hawksbill sea turtles are one of the only animals that can digest sponges. And this orange sponge will make a great snack. Once she heads up for a breath of air, we realize our air is getting low too, so it's time to start back to the boat. On our safety stop, Phil demonstrates his technique for blowing air bubble rings. The kids need more practice. After 2 awesome dives, we head back to the resort. It's only a short walk with our gear to the dive lockers, where we get re-suited for a shore dive.
Getting suited up on a curb.
We can't get enough of this great diving. We head down to the dock and hop into the water. It's not long before we're being greeted by a school of small barracuda known as Senate. They zoom around us a few times without fear. They must be used to divers. As we venture further from shore, we reach a sandy section containing a large colony of garden eels. These pencil-sized eels live in burrows in the sand and retract into their burrows as we approach. But hunting them and other sand dwellers is an eagle ray, uniquely adapted to shovel through the sand for prey. As we continue across the sand, we find the tracks of something. Following them, we come across a pair of conchs engaged in a high-speed chase. A male is trying to catch up with a female. Conchs are just big snails peeking out from under the shell with eyes on stalks. She gives him the cold shell treatment. You can't blame a guy for trying. Soon we pass over the sand and reach a large section of reef filled with colorful coral and fish. There are stands of tube sponges. And we find the mermaid statue. Then we turn and start swimming back to shore. Just in front of the ladders, we meet a school of reef squid hanging out only a stone's throw from the shore. And we're out of the water just in time for a famous Cayman sunset. The next day, we load the van for a road trip to the other side of the island. This boat is kept at another marina closer to the dive sites on the north side of the island. Soon we're on our way to meet the famous stingrays of Stingray City. Captain Melissa Hart does the dive briefing with some stuffed animals, explaining the proper way to interact with the stingrays and how we will feed them small pieces of fish. Then it's time to suit up and hit the water. It's low tide, so the visibility in North Sound is a little murky, but the stingrays are here. Stingrays are flattened fish, closely related to sharks, with a mouth underneath used to feed on the bottom. They get their name from the stinger sticking up off the tail, which is a powerful defensive weapon. But these stingrays are like puppies. They're completely comfortable around divers. When the food comes out, they all come over to be fed. But you need to be careful handling the food because the fish are aggressive. Elise gives this small male stingray a treat and feels how much suction they create when they inhale the food. Even Zach gets in on the action. It's only his second dive and already he's feeding the stingrays. Christine is being swarmed because she refuses to hand over the food too easily. She's making them work for it. Now Elise is getting the hang of it, doing a ballet with a stingray. But then it's my turn to show them how it's done. By keeping the food just in front of the stingray's mouth, I can lead her around like she's on a leash. After a few twirls, I give her the food. Now everyone is getting the hang of it. Zach has a stingray hat. And the fish are fast. They steal a lot of food. Once we run out of food, the stingrays settle down and begin to wander off. We head back to the boat. And finally, it's time to head back to the dock. Grand Cayman is a stunning place to visit and to dive. There is no question why it has become one of the top dive destinations in the world. The water is warm and calm, the visibility is consistently excellent, and the marine environment is extremely healthy. Every dive has something cool to see. The Cayman Islands truly are a wonder of the blue world.
Meet Jonathan Berg, one of the world's top underwater nature cinematographers. Traveling the world on assignment for all the major networks, he is an Emmy Award-winning authority on the underwater world. In freshwater or salt, reefs, wrecks, or caves, Jonathan documents the world beneath the waves. Welcome to the Blue World.
I'm heading to beautiful Burlington, Vermont on the shores of Lake Champlain. The Zacks and I, along with our new assistant diver Annalise, are going to explore some deep shipwrecks. Lake Champlain is located on the border between Vermont and New York State. We already did some really cool dives on the historic canal schooners, which were used to transport materials to and from New York City. These wrecks were covered in marine life and shallow enough to have a fair amount of natural light. But today, we're going deeper. Our adventure begins at Waterfront Diving Center in Burlington with our guide Sheila Cooley.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Beautiful day for a dive.
Isn't it?
It's raining outside, but we don't care. We're gonna get wet anyway.
We got nitrox.
Since we're diving on the deeper side, we're using a special breathing mixture called nitrox, which must be analyzed before the dive. We suit up and take a walk over to the marina to load the boat. Captain Larry has his funky landing craft dive boat ready to go. And Sheila's ready too. It might be rainy, but there's no wind. It's nice and calm. Perfect dive day. Soon we arrive at the mooring ball for the LaValle tugboat. The LaValle was a steam-powered tugboat operating in the early 1900s on the lake. It sank in 1931 and vanished for 65 years. Since the wreck is deep, we have limited time to work, so we split into two teams.
We're sending the advanced team down with the lights to set them up so they're ready to go when we get down there.
Cameraman Zach and I follow about 5 minutes later. We follow the mooring line into the cold darkness of 100 feet. The surface is over 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's only 45 down here. LaValle is part of the Lake Champlain Underwater Historic Preserve, so we cannot go inside the shipwreck. The LaValle sank in 1931, but due to the lack of detailed records on the sinking and its depth, the wreck was not found until 1996. But the cold water down here has preserved her well. There are almost no zebra mussels on the wooden hull. The helm is in pretty good shape, but the wheelhouse that it was in has been blown clean off, either by air pressure as the ship sank or by an explosion. As we head towards the stern, we peek inside the doorways without going inside. This looks like a bunk room. Further back, we see the steam engine. This is one of the very few steamboat wrecks in Lake Champlain that still has the engine aboard. On top of the wreck, part of the smokestack from the engine. The rest of it can be found in the mud next to the wreck. There's a huge cleat for tying up other boats to be tugged. And down on the bottom, the prop and rudder, half buried in muck. As I swim back towards the bow, I'm struck by the lonely desolation of this historic ghost of the abyss. For nearly 100 years, she has quietly rested peacefully in this cold darkness. We can only spend a short time here before no decompression limits force us to ascend. We're grateful for the return of light and warmth as we make our way to the surface.
You want to talk about some spooky Scooby-Doo stuff right there. That was like the spookiest time I ever did. Well, you know, that's...
The next day, the sun has returned and we're heading out to a wreck that we know nothing about. Captain Larry found this wreck, and he's the only one who knows where it is. There's no mooring on it, so we have to place our own marker.
Very technical here.
When Larry hits the right location on his GPS, Sheila throws the weight, and with any luck, it will land on the wreck. Hopefully, we bullseyed the wreck, and there's no way to know without going down to look.
Except for air.
Except for air.
All right.
We drop down through the thermocline into the cold water below. And wouldn't you know it, the marker landed right smack dab in the middle of the wreck. Sheila leads the way. All we know about this wreck is that it's a wooden barge that caught fire and sank. We don't know the name of the barge or the year it sank. Since it's not part of the historical preserve, we can swim inside the wreckage and have a look around. We need to be really careful because the visibility is not good at all. Timbers inside the wreck look pretty good. But the fire really did a number on the deck planks. The evidence of the fire is everywhere in the charred remains. The wreck is strung with fishing line from snagged hooks, which is how the wreck was discovered. A motorcycle tire was used as a bumper, and the hull looks solid. The darkness, depth, and cold water combined with murky visibility make this wreck super spooky. And after half an hour, we must depart. We do a short decompression stop for safety before we ascend to the surface. Lake Champlain has a rich maritime history, dating back to the 1600s, with wrecks of all ages, some of which have been documented, while others remain a mystery. No matter where our adventures take us, we always find something fascinating in the blue world. I'm fortunate to have visited some of the best dive sites on Earth. Places like Indonesia, the Galapagos, the Caribbean, and even Antarctica. Today, I'm adding another special place to that list: Denver, Colorado. No, seriously, Zach of All Trades and I are visiting the incredible downtown aquarium in Denver to see their super cool exhibits. Denver's pretty far from the nearest ocean, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some amazing dives today. I meet up with Wendy Murray, the dive operations manager at the aquarium.
Hello.
Hey, Wendy.
Welcome to the Denver Downtown Aquarium.
Thanks for having me.
We start our day with a tour of the aquarium, and we have the place to ourselves because they're not open to the public for another 2 hours. Our journey begins in the North America exhibit, where we meet an alligator snapping turtle.
So we do have an alligator snapping turtle. We're guessing he's about 96.
At 96 years old, he's one of the oldest known snapping turtles. And we have perfect timing as they're about to feed him.
Oh, he sees it now. He sees it now.
He's so cool. I love him. He gets his shell scrubbed occasionally just to get some of that algae off.
He's got buoyancy issues. He needs a BC. There he goes.
The weird thing is, they haven't named him. They have a number of exhibits containing freshwater fish of North America, like trout, salmon, and even sturgeon, and a parrot.
This is Molly.
Hi, Molly.
She is very verbal. Molly's very verbal.
Molly's daily exercise regimen involves climbing a rope.
All right, so there she goes. She's gonna climb up that rope up to Ryan, our mammals curator.
Wow, look at that.
So again, this is just utilizing her muscles, some conditioning.
Yay!
Soon we arrive at the rainforest exhibit, where they have lots of exotic tropical fish, like the archerfish.
So we have archerfish. Have you seen an archerfish fit?
Oh, no.
Okay, they're really cool. So Lori's gonna show you what to do, and then you're gonna do it after. So they're gonna spit.
What the heck? Oh, wow.
The archerfish has learned how to catch food by shooting a jet of water at bugs above the surface. They have incredible aim. The aquarium staff keep them sharp by letting them shoot crickets out of their hands.
That's amazing. They have really good aim.
We pass some other great exhibits, but I'm looking for something big enough to swim in.
Touch pool. You can't swim in this one, but you can touch.
Hey guys, what's up? Hello, hello, hello. You're so squishy. Wow.
Oh, she's gonna feed the southerns if you want.
Oh, let's check it out. Wow, the southerns get some pretty big food. It's like a half a mackerel.
Do you want to feed the?
Sure.
Okay.
So you gotta hold it in your knuckles.
Yep.
All right. This touch tank exhibit allows people to get up close and personal with cow-nosed rays and southern stingrays.
Good grief! Wow. Okay. Just like that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just gonna go like this, a little bit of shrimp. All right, dinner is served. There you go. There you go. You got it. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, you got it. All right. Almost got my watch too.
So also our final large exhibit. This is the largest one that we have, and it is our shipwreck exhibit.
It's filled with huge fish, sharks, and one of my favorite creatures.
Look at the sawfish! They're so big!
Sawfish are so rare that I've never seen one in the wild. Unfortunately, Wendy says only the staff usually gets to dive in this exhibit, so no sawfish for me. Fortunately, we can dive in the Under the Sea exhibit, so we head upstairs and go behind the scenes to gear up. These exhibits have tropical fish, so the water is warm. When we enter the exhibit, I can't believe how many fish there are. Wendy takes us on a tour, and now that the aquarium is open for the day, we have an audience. A green moray is used to the camera and doesn't mind my attention at all. A nurse shark poses for a few minutes. Nearby, another animal I've never seen in the wild. A guitar fish, which is either an elongated stingray or a flattened shark, depending on your point of view. They're kind of halfway between sharks and stingrays, and they don't mind hanging out with the stingrays. I make my way to the other side of the exhibit and find two different species of morays hanging out behind a sign. Nearby, a leopard whip ray chills out. This is a somewhat uncommon species of stingray known for its long whip-like tail. And of course, it has a leopard skin pattern. This male is obviously used to people because he doesn't mind me at all. I can go right in for an eyeball close-up. That was an amazing dive with so many cool things to see. I loved it. After the dive, Wendy takes us over to the top of the shipwreck exhibit, which is much larger. A sandbar shark buzzes right by the swim entry point. And that's when she tells us that she got permission for us to go in so we can see the sawfish. This exhibit has a sneaky entry corridor that allows the staff to enter without disturbing the marine life. We sneak around and find a nice spot to settle down and watch the action. A sand tiger shark comes over to investigate. And right in front of me, a huge sawfish. Sawfish are essentially rays. Their gills reside underneath their head just like a stingray, but they're long and skinny like a shark. So they're actually a lot like a guitar fish. But their distinguishing feature is the long rostrum with teeth arranged in a saw pattern. The sawfish swings its saw back and forth in the sand to catch fish. It's a super effective hunting technique. We follow Wendy around the back of the exhibit to the other side. Over here, we have a good view of the whole place. A curious Napoleon wrasse comes over for a look. The sand tiger sharks are curious too. Lots of aquariums have sand tigers because they're the perfect shark. They look mean and toothy, but they're actually very mellow, and they won't eat the other fish in the exhibit as long as they're kept well fed. The zebra shark gets its name because in the juvenile phase it has stripes. But as the shark gets older, the stripes turn into spots. The sawfish normally just lay on the bottom, but every once in a while they like to swim around for a look. Soon it's time to leave, so Wendy takes us back to the entrance. The Downtown Aquarium in Denver is truly one of my favorite aquariums in the world. They have such a diverse collection of incredible aquatic life to see. And it's the best ocean dive in the world, at more than 5,000 feet above sea level. Denver might be almost 1,000 miles from the ocean, but that doesn't mean you can't get a great glimpse into life in the blue world.